Hi, I'm Jay Goldman, and you are watching Mr. Mobile on Butterscotch.com. Today, a very anticipated episode to look at a very anticipated phone. What I am holding in my hand here is a Palm Pre. This phone is the phone that is going to make or break Palm. So, I mean, you know them from way back in the day with the Palm Pilot and the Trios and all that kind of stuff. And then they kind of lost it for a while, and people were wondering what was happening. Well, this is what was happening. It's taken them several years to do, but it is a completely new phone running a completely new operating system that's Linux-based, and this is the phone that is competing with the iPhone. So if you are wondering which touchscreen smartphone out there is the sort of equivalent to an iPhone, and you were looking at the BlackBerry Storm and thinking maybe that wasn't it, this is it. Now, the design of the actual hardware, and that's what we're going to be looking at in today's episode, was inspired by the feeling of a smooth river stone, and it definitely feels like it. Fits very nicely into your hand. It's sort of rounded on the back a little bit, rounded on the screen, so it has a very nice hand feel to it. I've actually got an optional back on here that's part of the touchstone package. We'll talk about that in a moment. Normally the phone has a bit of a glossy back on it, but it does feel a lot like a smooth river stone, which is what it was inspired by. On the front here, we've got a 480 by 320, 3.1-inch capacitive touchscreen. That's very similar to what you would see in an iPhone or, in fact, a BlackBerry Storm or even some of the Android phones. And it's a very comfortable size for the screen. It's very bright, looks really, really sharp. When you first turn on your Palm, it plays a little video that you can actually watch again if you go into the Videos application. And it's almost mesmerizing how bright the colors are and how sharp the image is. I will say that it's a little bit too glossy maybe, so in bright sunlight you sometimes have a bit of trouble making out the image, but on the whole, very impressed with the screen. The other thing to note about the screen, and it's a little hard to see when the phone's switched off, so I'll just open it up here, is that underneath there's a gesture area where I can actually do gestures. And we're going to look at the software that runs on the Pre, which is called WebOS, in a subsequent episode. But keep in mind that the screen actually extends down into this area where there is in fact a gesture bar. Right up on the top here, we've got a standard 3.5-inch headphone jack, which is fantastic. All of your existing headphones will work, and obviously the Palm comes with its own. Built in here, we've got 8 gigs of storage. There's no option to upgrade that at this time, so all the Palm Pres out there are 8 gig units rather than something like the iPhone where you can go up and down. Build quality is pretty good. I've really enjoyed using the phone. I will say that the sliding of the screen to reveal the keyboard, and there is a full QWERTY keyboard in there, is a little bit awkward. So sometimes it's kind of hard to get it to open up because you can't quite get it to start. It's sometimes possible to kind of get it stuck halfway rather than having it spring up. It's a minor complaint. Really, I wouldn't sort of mention it other than the fact that we're doing a review here, and not something that I think you'll find will bother you day to day. What might be a little bit more of an issue is actually the very sharp edges that you'll find when you do open it. So down the sides of the keyboard here on either side and along the back of the slide, it is actually fairly sharp. I don't think that you're likely to cut yourself on it. In fact, I'm sure that you won't, otherwise Palm wouldn't have shipped it in the market, but it is definitely something to keep in mind. So on build quality, I would give them maybe 7.5, 8 out of 10 rather than all the way up to a 10. But keeping in mind that this is the first phone that Palm has released along the Pre line, I'm sure that they will get it right in a subsequent version. Popping it open shows a mirror on the back, and there's a lot of joking online about how the mirror is for guys and girls. It's actually really practical if you're using the built-in camera to take a photo of yourself, as you can see yourself in the mirror on the back. Keyboard on the front here feels good, particularly if you have small hands. I have relatively small hands, so I actually had no trouble typing on it. The keys are kind of rubbery. They have a really nice touch to them, and they've got a really solid click. And the click is actually really nice when you're typing because you know that you've pressed the buttons down. So it's maybe could be a little bit bigger, but on the whole, really impressed with the keyboard. And a lot of Trio fans, I think, will find it actually quite familiar. The back, 3.2 megapixel camera here with a flash. So unlike the iPhone, you can take pretty decent photos at night. Now, unlike the iPhone 3GS, there's no video, so that may be coming in a subsequent pre-release. At the moment, we are stuck with just doing still photos. They do look really good, and the flash does help quite a lot with taking night shots. Bluetooth with stereo A2DP, so if you don't want to use the headphones and you've got something like, for example, a car that you want to connect to the Bluetooth system, or you've got a set of Bluetooth headphones, you get the full stereo from them, which is really nice and something that actually just came in the last update of the iPhone OS. So on that front, relatively head-to-head. Battery life on this, something that was definitely an iPhone complaint for a long time, is not actually fantastic. I will say that on a normal day of use, and that's sort of checking email quite regularly, having the phone on, using a bunch of different applications, doing a bit of web browsing, that kind of thing, I'll make it about 3/4 of the way through the day on a phone, whereas my iPhone 3GS, I'll probably make it almost all the way through the day. So keeping that in mind, you might want to consider some of the different charging options if you're looking at a Palm Pre. It comes standard with the regular USB connector and a small travel connector that you can plug into the wall. Kind of handy if you're going away on trips. The USB connector actually is a normal USB head that plugs into the back of the adapter, so if you want to leave the adapter at home, you can actually charge it directly off your laptop. If you are somebody who likes to keep the phone on your desk with you all day though, you may want to take a look at the touchstone. It's an optional upgrade for the phone, and when you install it, you actually get a different back, which I mentioned earlier. So this is actually the touchstone back. It's slightly rubberized. I actually prefer it. It feels a little bit better in your hand and a little bit sort of stickier, like you're not going to drop it. When you have the touchstone, you get a small black disc that sits on your desk, and you can drop the phone on it, and it actually charges with induction, so there's no need to connect any wires. Power comes directly into the device through its contact with the touchstone. There's a small magnet in there that kind of latches the phone into place, so you don't have to get it really nicely positioned. You can almost just put it down and it sort of pops itself in. And some really nice touches that Palm built in, some smarts around the phone being aware that it's on the touchstone. So if you're talking on the phone when you get to your office and you put it down, it will immediately switch into speakerphone mode so you can continue your call. If you finish the call or you realize that maybe you answer a call that shouldn't be on speakerphone, you can just pick the phone right up and it'll switch back into normal headset mode. So that's sort of a really nice touch that allows you to just keep using the phone, drop it, keep having the conversation as you were going. You can also put the phone down in landscape mode, and then you can use the touchstone as a little stand to prop it up and watch media. So if you want to watch some videos and that kind of thing, even if you're not using the touchstone as a charging device and you say on an airplane, pop it down on your tray table, pop the phone on it, and you've got a holder that will hold it on a nice angle for you to watch. One really big note with the touchstone, and there have been actually quite a lot of complaints about this online, in fact surprised me quite a lot when I got the phone, you can't turn the screen off when it's charging. So when you put the phone down on the touchstone, it will show sort of a charging screen. It's got a clock on it and an unlock. That actually can't be switched off and will be on the entire time that the phone's on there. What that means is if you put it in a dark room with you and you're trying to sleep, like say for example your bedroom, and you put it on your bedside table, it is actually light enough to brighten the room. It's not like you've got full daylight going on, but it's bright enough that if you're the kind of person who likes to sleep in the dark, you may want to think about putting the touchstone somewhere else and just using a USB charger in your bedroom. The touchstone is an additional accessory. It's priced at about $70. You can get it directly from Palm and from a number of different retailers, and of course you can get more than one if you'd like to have one at home and one at the office. Cost for the phone is about $199 with a contract, about $549 without. Sprint is carrying it in the US, Bell Canada is carrying it in Canada, and carrying in Europe is starting to emerge. Hasn't been locked down yet. The phone right now is CDMA only. There is obviously talk of GSM models if it's coming out in Europe. So at this point, you're looking at CDMA carriers in North America. I'm really enjoying the phone. We're going to take a look at all the software in the WebOS in a subsequent episode. But for the moment, I would say, if you're the kind of person who was thinking about an iPhone, so you're not necessarily tied to a BlackBerry, and you'd really like to have a keyboard instead of just the touchscreen, take a definite look at the Pre. It's a really nice phone, and this is only version 1. It will get better as Palm starts to refine some of the issues that are out there, and only a few of those are actually hardware. There's a lot of stuff in the software that could get better, and it will get better with subsequent updates as Palm starts to release updates for it. So I would say definitely take a look at the Pre if you're in the market for a smartphone and you'd like an actual physical keyboard. I'm Jay Goldman. You've been watching Mr. Mobile on butterscotch.com. Check us out on the web for back episodes, and we'll catch you next time.